We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information. Superior Court of the...
Hey, what's up, guys? So many of you probably recall the reaction to the verdict on the O.J. Simpson trial, and many Black Americans today wanted that very same result for Karmelo Anthony. Yeah, the same kid who actually stabbed a 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, all because he was asked to leave a tent which he had absolutely no business to be in. So now you have all these Black liberals just freaking out on social media, calling this whole trial an injustice and actually supporting this thug. So take a look at some of these video clips because these people are completely melting down.
You telling me a grainy video is shown to jurors, but it was shown in 4K clear to the people that witnessed it? No witness on that stand had that little man's back? None? 0 out of 21 people being questioned? Come on, man, I'm done with all of that. I feel the same way about white people, the same way they feel about my people. Yeah, try one of us.
Okay, newsflash. It's not just white people, it's society. We are so sick and tired of you people. We are so fatigued. We are so sick of the fact that we can't go to the park at night or that we can't take the train home from work in the late evening because we don't know what's lurking behind us. We don't want to get shot, stabbed, or killed. And it's crazy to think that as law-abiding citizens that we can't even enjoy the public amenities offered by our cities. And I'm not talking about Black people here. I'm specifically talking about a subgroup. And I think Chris Rock explained it perfectly in a comedy set back in the 1990s.
It's Black people, and it's
I mean, even just following the case, I know I just, we've all been kind of keeping up with it. And just to see even that the judge, the defense attorney, and Austin Metcalf's father was in, a picture at a party they having a time. There is an alleged post from Austin, from, of course, before he passed, that, he had 2 assault rifles on his, resting on himself in the car, saying that I dare one of the monkeys to come to this track meet today. But this is someone where, Karmelo Anthony was a 3.7 GPA student working 2 jobs. But he's the one that we're supposed to believe is a thug, though.
Right. Of course. Because that's how they see us. They want everything is good because it's white. And then when it comes to Black, it's angry, it's violent.
Okay, so these women have absolutely zero self-awareness. So she asked why society, and it's not just white people, it's society, why society views them as angry and violent. Well, just take a look at the data. Because 13% of people in your community are committing 50 to 60% of all violent crimes. And it's not really even 13% because you got to remove the woman out of there. So it's like 6 or 7%. And then you also had the audacity to ask why society thinks you're so angry. Like, you might have been able to get away with that question prior to social media, but social media really opened everyone's eyes. Because how many videos have we seen on Instagram or TikTok of you people just crashing out on fast food workers, subway employees, police officers? And I'm talking about everyday situations where regular normal people would just converse, communicate with the other party, but you people just escalate and just get so confrontational no matter what. And just the other day on a New York City bus, a Black father asked a Black teen to turn down the volume on his phone, but what do you think that kid did? He shot him and killed him. But I doubt we're ever going to hear a peep of this story from Ben Crump or Al Sharpton, or have Black supporters coming out and protest for this Black father's life. No, they're not going to do that. But they will for Karmelo Anthony.
Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty of murder. I don't think that boy received a fair trial. In my opinion, that case should not have been tried in Collin County, Texas, right? The defense should have been granted the motion to change venue, right? There was no Black jurors. Obviously, all of the witnesses were biased and probably heavily influenced by the kind of sentiment that pervaded that community. This was a racially charged case, obviously. And in my opinion, this is just terrible news.
Okay, so this statement is utter bullshit because there were actually Black witnesses for the defense whose testimony contradicted the whole self-defense argument. They said Austin Metcalf shoved Karmelo Anthony, but the physical contact was pretty minimal, and it doesn't give you a right to go stab the guy in the chest.
Collin County, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Irvin, Dalworth, Plano, Denton, Keller, it ain't safe for none of you white folks to come out this weekend. I'm giving y'all a fair warning right now. And guess what? It's gonna be a bunch of niggas outside that look like me. And we ain't out there with no pocket knives. We out there with these. I guarantee y'all gonna pay for what that judge just did to Karmelo. If you don't believe me, bring y'all bold ass out this weekend and put on your Austin Metcalf shirts and see what happened to you.
Okay, so who else heard the chirp there? Like, you can't beat the stereotypes. But this guy might be the biggest effing retard because he actually posted on social media calling for all blacks to attack white people. And you know what? I'm going to save this clip here for as evidence. I'm sure they can use it for premeditation charges when he does get arrested later on this weekend. But speaking of arrests, people on social media started doing some homework and found out who this guy was. So his name is Darius Reed, and he's got quite the extensive criminal background history. Take a look. Also, I find it very interesting that he's making these threats in a state where you're allowed to carry.
Ain't no fucking judicial justice for black people. How many motherfucking decades and decades have to go by where you don't receive that? Your justice is frontier justice. They kill one of y'all, you kill one of them.
I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion here.
Just like Karmelo was doing. I'm glad you just said that. That's what Karmelo was doing. Protecting his motherfucking self.
Okay, so as you can see, there are many people within the black community having complete, utter meltdowns. Like this guy here saying, you kill one of ours, we're going to kill one of yours. Really? Like, that's what we're going to do? Have you not learned anything from this Karmelo Anthony trial? And then you have this batshit crazy black woman just going completely nuts at yesterday's protest. But anyways, let's take a look at this from a different perspective because I found this clip from Chris Cuomo addressing this whole trial.
Breaking news. The Karmelo Anthony verdict is in, and he has been found guilty in under 3 hours. Now, it is a very simple fact pattern. And the damning fact is not simply that Karmelo Anthony told officers right away that he did it, that there was nothing alleged about it, and he said it was self-defense right away, but it was a head-on plunged knife into the chest of the victim, another teenager. You know the fact pattern. Karmelo Anthony, young black kid at a track meet. Some white kids tell him to get out of a tent that was there for the rain, but it was only for their team and not his team. And he says something to one, and one says something back, and there's someone else there, and a knife comes out, and Karmelo Anthony plunges it into the chest of another teen, and he dies. Is it self-defense? The jury was all white. The prosecutors say this is a race-neutral crime. This is a very fraught situation that now is going to have these obvious indications of bias. Why did it have to be all white? Why couldn't it have black jurors? What does race neutral mean? What did it mean in this context? Is this justice? Does 3 hours mean that it was just a simple pattern and he had acknowledged it and it couldn't be seen any other way? If a black jury had been involved, they also often find black defendants guilty. Would black people on the jury have made a difference? Should there have been black people on the jury anyway? This has been covered constitutionally. Do you have to have mixed race to reflect the race of the defendant and anybody else? No. That is not a constitutional protection of equal protection or of due process. If you're black, you don't have to have black jurors. If you're white, you don't have to have white jurors. However, there can be issues based on bias. Is this one of those cases?
Okay, so first off, we got to fact check Chris Cuomo here because this was not an all-white jury. Yes, there were no black jurors, but we'll get into that in a second. But this jury consisted of whites, Asians, Hispanics, Indians, Middle Easterns, so it was very diverse. But the reason why there was no black jurors was because there were very few black jurors in the final stages of the selection process. But the ones that were there were very biased as they claimed they could not imprison a young black man. And that's why the prosecution team gave these black jurors strikes and removed them from the jury selection pool because they could not be objective during this whole trial.
If a 300-pound man is beating me, like on top of me and beating me down, I'm not limited to fist. I would argue that even the only time we go into things like people's hands being considered deadly weapons is typically like if they're a professional boxer or that kind of stuff. But I think by the time you start getting to like football player, good argument Good freaking argument. We're not talking about like the golfers. We're talking about football players, right? Like this is what they are trained to do, is to inflict like serious physical contact. And it's my understanding that the decedent was
Awful
wait a minute, was it a switch? I don't know what he had.
It was like it seemed like it was a multi-tool, almost like a Swiss Army.
Like with like with the little scissors and everything and whatever. So it was small. Well, I would have argued the size of it alone, you wouldn't even think it's a deadly weapon.
And that's
forgot he had it in his bag.
If it was one of the little, like I don't know, like I do think.
Well, that's why he went to his coach and was like, but I don't think I heard him that.
Okay, so first off, Austin Metcalf was not 300 pounds, nor was he on top of Karmelo Anthony or beating him down. But these are the lies that Jasmine Crockett has been spewing to her audience. And just to let you know, this is the image of the knife that this Neanderthal thought was a murder weapon, this Swiss Army knife. But in actuality, it was this pocket knife with a serrated blade.